Well, I think there are times when it's appropriate to try to communicate directly with individuals, other times when it's more effective to try and communicate more broadly and so on. And I think you've got to be careful about how you differentiate between those two. I mean, Twitter's a wonderful medium. All of the new social media are wonderful in their own sweet way, but they also have their dangers as well. So Twitter, for instance, people quite often, and I do read virtually all of the stuff that comes into my Twitter account, people quite often have quite individual points of view and ask quite detailed questions in 140 characters that require very thoughtful, long answers. And it's not possible to have a one-to-one dialogue on Twitter with everybody who comes up with every possible question or every issue, every controversy and so on. So what I try to do is to take account of what people are saying on Twitter and other social media and throughout the internet as well, and try and use that intelligence gathering, if I can call it that, to inform, how we try to run the UCI, not just in a way of bouncing back and forth of, oh my God, we must do something about such and such an issue, but actually taking a longer term, broader view and looking at what are the important things that are registering with people who love our sport. And I think as long as you don't become obsessed with reacting all the time to things that are, the issue of the day on Twitter or trending or whatever, then I think those kind of social media are useful tools for communicating with the broader public. Well, we've done a couple of things really. We've done an audit, an independent audit of our anti-doping processes. The international body that for national anti-doping agencies has done that for us, and we've learned some lessons from that about how we handle things internally. We're making the CADF, the Cycling Anti-Doping Foundation, even more independent than previously, making it genuinely separate from the UCI. So I'm not on the board of that anymore, for instance. I don't take a day-to-day involvement in who's being tested or what the results might be or who's got potentially dodgy biological passport results or anything like that. I keep away from all of those issues because I don't think it's right and proper for a president to interfere in that. There is a potential conflict of interest there, I'm sure, as others have identified in the past. And then we've established the Cycling Independent Reform Commission, which is, its job is to do what has long been needed, which is to investigate in a broader sense the problems of doping that have afflicted our sport in recent years and I guess as far back in history as they want to go. We're talking about 1998 as being a useful place to start, but the Commission can go back further than that, and certainly doping in cycling and doping in other sports didn't start in 1998. And it's also going to look at the allegations that there have been that the UCI was in some way complicit or there was some wrongdoing or whatever. So I think it's important that it looks at those things. I think it's really important that all of those people who have something to say, something to contribute, whether it be Lance Armstrong, whether it be Johan Brunel, whether it be Hein Verbruggen or Pat McQuaid, I think it's really important that those people do come forward and cooperate with the Commission. It's open for business now. I'm sure it will be contacting them, but I'm not going to be involved on a day-to-day agenda with them. They have got a clear set of terms of reference, and I'm very confident that they will be able to help us learn some lessons, and that's an important part of this, that it comes back with some recommendations, some proposals for how we can perhaps avoid getting into that situation in the future. But what I want to say is that cycling is certainly not the only sport that's had the problem with doping. But, that's not my job. My job is our sport, and my job is to make sure that we have a sport that has integrity, because if sport doesn't have integrity, it's just theatre or a circus. And frankly, I think people deserve better than that and want more from cycling than that. So I think it's important that we do restore the sport's credibility.
Almost a clean site as such, really, then.
Yeah, I'm not naive enough to think that it will be possible to put 100% stop to people cheating. People cheat in all walks of life, whether it's, banking, accountancy, in the law, all of those things, as they do in sport. And all sports have got cheats, and doping is just one of the most insidious forms of cheating. But I think I think a couple of things here. I think there's a moral and ethical position which we have a duty to uphold, which is that, you know, we have to have a sport in which people can bring their children, and those children can go all of the way to the top of the sport without having to lie, without having to cheat, without having to take things that might damage their long-term health, and without having to spend the rest of their lives looking over the shoulder in case someone might come knocking on the door and revelations be made about them and so on. And I think there's a big lesson here from the Lance Armstrong situation, which is that no matter how powerful you are, how rich you are, how good your lawyers are, if you've built your career on cheating, essentially it will come out in the end. It might take a year, it might take 10 years, might take longer, but in the end it will come out. And that's a very powerful lesson, I think, for everyone involved in every sport, not just the sport of cycling.